Hello, everybody, and welcome to Live at 5. I'm tying my tie and then losing my tie. It's 5 o'clock, and welcome to the show. This was a background is a photo I took of the beautiful blooming white tree out in front of my house this morning in the porch. The best part of it is right behind my head, so I can't really enjoy it. But it looked like just a gray morning with rain, and it was drizzly, and then there were these pretty blooms, and it seemed pretty spring-like. I don't know if April has to have showers in it to be qualify as an April. Isn't that the deal? And what if April showers bring Mayflowers? What do Mayflowers bring? Pilgrims. Oh, there you go. I haven't heard that joke in a while, probably with good reason. Thanks for joining the show today, folks. I got a couple of announcements I've got to make. And so I just want to get started. Today is the 31st day of the Omer. We're getting very excited. We're zeroing in on the end of the week. Lag Omer, the 30th, the 33rd. I mean, that is going to be Friday. Starts Thursday night at sundown. There are some Lag Omer events taking place in various places, various locations around the Jewish community of Denver. One I'll mention is BMH is having a carbecue. A carbecue. Now that's like a barbecue except in your car. Get it? It's a bar. I would rather have the bar left in the barbecue, actually, because I want to drink. But I am thinking strongly to go over to the BMH carbecue. I think you need to get in on that, signing up in advance. They're going to have some fire twirling performers, which is very apropos of Lag BaOmer, because as we'll describe, it's a very lichtig holiday. Lichtig, which in Yiddish means it's filled with light. It's lively. It's filled with light. It's lichtig. You just can't translate that. Anyway, get your tickets now for the BMH barbecue, and with kosher supervision and yummy food and lots of people. Now, I asked if you're allowed to bring a lawn chair and sit out in the parking lot in front of your car, and you are. So you're not confined to your car in this barbecue, which is the good news. We're getting, which along in conjunction with that, by the way, I'd like to add an announcement. I was looking today, just I don't know why, when in the weather app on my phone, they've added a new section. They have weather. Sometimes they add humidity. In the summer, sometimes they'll tell you like the UV risk of the day. They added a new section, and that's COVID cases. I have to know every day what the latest is right there by the weather. It's also numbers, I guess, daily updates. Anyway, yesterday in Denver County, there were no new cases, 0 new cases of COVID in Denver County. Now, that's not to say that this thing is over, because there's plenty of cases, but I just wanted to share that 0 new cases in Denver County yesterday. How exciting, especially if you live in Denver County. Hopefully that will be more and more common until this thing will be over. Unfortunately, for some parts of the world, it is definitely not over. I know in India, it's raging terribly. They're a record terrible state of affairs in India right now. Canada, they are under a severe lockdown in the Ottawa province, or whatever province Ottawa's in. I was on the phone today with a bunch of the Jewish community members and leaders of Ottawa, because Clean Speech Ottawa starts Saturday night, May 1st, and I'm all excited for them. And they're going to do it from their homes, because the place is all locked down severely. They're not going into stores anywhere, making it very challenging to distribute all those fun wristbands. But, that takes Clean Speech Ottawa on them. But they're doing a great job of it, and they got some nice videos. And so they are really, they really are excited. I'm excited for them. So we want to send our best as Clean Speech Minnesota winds down beautifully. Clean Speech Ottawa takes over. And it looks like that, although this is not official yet, the ink is not dry, but it looks like St. Louis has just come on board. Very excited about that. St. Louis. So a new city joining the ranks of 2021 clean speech campaigns around the world. St. Louis. It's a great community for clean speech. I think it's a mid-sized Midwest town. And the Midwest Jews are nice. They take right to it. Clean speech. So thank you to everyone who's part of that greater, bolder movement. It just keeps growing. a couple more things I wanted to, on my announcement list. I wanted to wish a refuah shlema to a few people. Refuah shlema to Margaret Bierman, who's having a surgery this week, as well as Beth Radetsky, to good friends in our sphere. I want to wish a refuah shlema to Bonnie, I know, who spoke last night under the weather, and my friend Austin as well. Austin, a student of JUPRO, broke both his wrist and elbow on one arm. I think it was his left. He's a middle school teacher, and you need both hands for that age. What can I tell you? That's going to be a toughie. Teach middle school with one arm. I don't know. Good luck, but refuah shlema to everyone. I want to also wish a mazel tov to my dear friends Yaakov and Marcy Kam on the birth of a grandson, to Aliza, their daughter Aliza, and husband, I forget his name, but they had a baby boy, which is really delightful. Aliza, we remember fondly when she was growing up here, and now she has some of her own there on the East Coast. Mazel tov to the whole clan. Okay, now today we're going to talk a little bit about a few things, and we're going to get to the parsha. But I thought that first I would introduce the word of the day. What is the word of the day? After the drum roll, please. The word of the day is tis chadesh. Tis chadesh. What does tis chadesh mean? So I just got a new pair of glasses. I don't know if you could tell on the show. If you compare yesterday with yesterday, I got a new pair of glasses today, which so far I can kind of see most things. It's good. It's every once in a while you have to do that. And the word for new in Hebrew is chadash. Okay, chadash. So when we talked about this always in terms of the moon. The moon is called a chodesh. We're related to the word chadash because the moon goes through a renewal cycle. You have a new moon, and so the moon becomes new. And the moon, when the moon is new, we say it's the chodesh. It's Rosh Chodesh, the beginning of a new moon, a new month. And anything that's new is chadash. So when we take that form of the word chadash and we make it reflexive. Now, this is an interesting grammatical point in Hebrew. So we want it to refer to itself, which would mean like renewal. So then you would say, make it reflexive, you'd say tit chadesh in modern Hebrew, tis chadesh. If you would say it to it's like a genuine way of saying you should be renewed by it. It's a very interesting thing to say. A very interesting thing to say. When someone gets something new, like a new car, or a new house, or a new shirt, or a new tie, you could say to them, and you see their new tie, their new house, their new car, etc. You would have an opportunity to say to them tis chadesh, or if it was a lady, tit chadshi. That's the feminine form, because you're like saying it to them. You're actually, what is it? It's a blessing. When someone has something new, you have an opportunity to bless them and give them a blessing. What's the blessing we give someone who got something new? We say tit chadesh, which means you should be renewed by your new car, new shirt, new house, new tie, whatever it is. You should be renewed with this new thing. It's a very interesting, I think. Well, what kind of a blessing is that? You got a new pair of shoes. You should be renewed by your new shoes. You know what I mean? Saying. It actually reminds me of one of the funniest lines in my family's entire history. We shall never forget this one ever. Many years ago, when my nephew, he should live and be well, his bar mitzvahs this summer, he must have been about 6. And they came over for Passover, and they just came in from the airport. They walked up to the door, and literally I opened the door, and he blurts out, and he says, "Hi, this is my friend Abba, and these are my new shoes." He was introducing his father as, "This is my friend, Dad." He introduced to me, his brother, "and these are my new shoes." He was so excited to tell me. That's the first words out of his mouth as he walked in the door. "This is my friend Abba, and these are my new shoes." So when someone has new shoes, what do? You give them a blessing, and you say tit chadesh. What does that mean? What kind of a blessing is that? May you be renewed by your new shoes. What is that? But I think there's a very beautiful concept here. Whenever we have like a moment in life where we feel like a breath of fresh air, a new vista, a new moment, a new acquisition. You look around you and you just feel like, you could just clean the closet and feel this way, for crying out loud. You just feel renewed. You feel like it's a new moment, like it's a new time going forward. Something, the old is over, on with the new. We have a new opportunity, new reality. We feel, optimistic and positive, like greater things are possible. It's a great blessing to give someone, it's a great blessing. Tit Chadesh, may your new acquisition, may this new clothing, may this new friend, whatever it is, may you be renewed by this. And, it's a new breath of fresh air. I love that. So that's the word of the day, Tit Chadesh. And if you want to say to someone, whether, no matter which gender you are, if the person you're saying it to is a female, you would say Tit Chadshi, which is the feminine grammar for that, Tit Chadshi or Tit Chadesh. The real question is if you would say that to someone who got new glasses. So that's a question. Now, I don't know I haven't gotten to the bottom of this, but it's not so simple if someone gets new glasses that you should say Tit Chadesh. Why? Because at the end of the day, why do you need glasses? Because your eyes don't work, because you can't see. If your eyes were seeing good, you wouldn't get any glasses at all. So glasses are almost like a sign of, it's a bummer. It's an eyesight problem. So we don't get so excited when somebody gets a new pair of glasses. Although, I'm excited. Whatever it is, it's an old. The vision problem is old news. The glasses are new. So, but that's a question for you to think about, and you can tell me if you want. If you get an opportunity in the next 24, 48 hours to use this blessing in your life, then why don't you write in and we'll send you a brand new Jewish Experience hat. Okay, I'll send you a Jewish Experience hat. I've got a bunch of them. If you'll write and tell me, watching the show on Zoom, watching it anywhere, on YouTube, on Facebook Live, wherever you see the show, if you could write to me and tell me that you got to use this blessing, Tit Chadesh, in a sentence to someone, then we have a new hat for you, and you should be renewed by your new Jewish Experience hat. How about that? Okay, that's a good one. All right, folks, now that we've got the word of the day, we're ready next for the Parsha. The Parsha that we introduced just momentarily, I think it was yesterday, is a good one, is Parsha's Emor. And Emor has a bunch of things in it, including holidays. It's one of the three places in the Torah where you really see a discussion of the holidays. So there, we always read from Parshas Emor on one of the holidays. It goes through them all and talks about the special things that would be done on each of the holidays, why they're special, what they mean. Talks about the Omer. The word Emor sounds like Omer. Don't get confused; they're not the same. Omer and Emor, but the Parsha's name is Emor, and Emor primarily is a conversation in which a discussion is a place where God commanded Moses in all of the rules of the Kohanim, the priests, the Kohen, those folks that will represent us in the temple. This is like a parsha all about them. And I have to tell you a little epiphany I had when I was reading this parsha a couple of years ago. Okay, a little epiphany. So the question or the struggle I was having that I needed this epiphany was as follows. We are about to celebrate the holiday of Shavuos, and in that holiday we are tapping into the beginning of the Jewish people as the chosen people. Literally the chosen people. The Hebrew word is the Am HaNivchar. That's to say God selected us. And, that really is a major theme of that holiday. The idea that God gathered us around and said, come here. I'm going to give you the Torah, right? And the Jewish people gathered around Mount Sinai. He said the 10 commandments and he made a deal with us. And there's a certain chosenness about that. And sometimes I think about that and I just think how strange it seems that should be the reality when we're such a small group of people. We are just such a small group of people. How many of us are there? I mean, Are we really a major world religion? I mean, numerically speaking, we are certainly not. If you want to just talk about numerically, we're a tiny little religion. I tell you this, I may have told you the story before. My father, he should live and be well, is an attorney in Norfolk, Virginia, where I'm from, and he had a client who was a Sikh, Sikh, Sikh. You ever heard of that religion? So he was telling me about this fella, and he said, yeah, it's this guy is actually practices the Sikh religion. Have you ever heard of them? It's like a tiny little religion. I said, oh, really? Yeah. He said, yeah, tiny. It's a teeny little tiny religion. There's only 50 million of them in the world. And I thought to myself, if they're tiny, we're like a smitchik of a smitchik, because there's only how many of us are there? 12 million? We're a quarter of that. That's 4 times as big as the entire Jewish world. So, are we a small religion? We're a small smitchik of the population. We're a tiny fraction of the population of America, and we're a super tiny, small smitchik of a smitchik. That'll be the word of the day for tomorrow. A smitchik, that's a little tiny amount. A little tiny amount. We're a small percentage of 1% of world population. Very, very small. So is it crazy? Is it hubris for us to continue to identify with the title given to us at Mount Sinai, the chosen people? Maybe it's a chutzpah. I don't know. And I was bothered by this a little bit. And many people have asked me this question. It's an important question. And I think I have an answer. I had an answer that based on this epiphany one year a couple years ago, I was reading this week's Parsha, Parsha's Emor. So the Parsha itself is, as I said, is instructions to the Kohanim. And the Kohanim themselves are, again, they're going to be the priests in the temple. And it's a whole Parsha based on this stuff. There's many, many paragraphs. There's a lot of details, and they have certain stringencies. They have obligation things that will set them apart, and things that they have to be even more careful about when it comes to relationships that they can have, who they can marry, where they could go, what they could do. It's very interesting. There are a lot of stringencies, and they have a short list, and they are to be extra, extra holy. After all, they are the temple servants in the temple of God. So a whole bunch of instructions. Now, in all of this entire parsha, or all of these things, I was thinking to myself, okay, so who was this parsha directed at when it was given? Originally, in the back in the desert, when Moshe was learning this and passing it over to the Jewish people, and the word emor for which the parsha is named is the word lemor, which means to say. This is the parsha that if Moshe is told, I'm telling you this, God says, to say to the Kohanim, and say it and teach them this and say the following. Speak to them and say this. Emor. It's a funny name for a parsha. Speak, because God is always saying to Moshe, it said, Vaydaber Hashem Moshe lemor, and God said to Moshe to say. Everything was like that. But this was somehow a parsha specifically to be taught. Moshe, speak to those Kohanim. Tell them this. And we're going to name the parsha Tell. Emor, say, speak, tell. How many people was he talking to? He was talking to his brother Aaron and 2 remaining sons out of 4. That's 3 individuals. Out of how many? Out of 600,000 men their age, or in their role, and amongst the 3 million Jews. So if he was speaking to 3 Jewish people at the time, this entire parsha is instructions for 3 Jewish people out of an estimated 3 million. It was 1 in a million he was speaking to. 1 in a million. This whole parsha is for 1 in a million Jews. Yes, it reminds me of one of my favorite jokes that my son Yaakov likes to tell. If someone tells you that you're 1 in a million, just remember there's 33 like you in China. the idea of being 1 in a million. Can you imagine what a tiny number that is? 1 in a million. 1 in a million. 33 million Chinese, but there's there's 3 Jews that are the holy Jews. They're the priests of the Jewish people, and they got a lot of instructions for them. So in the same way, okay, that this tiny fraction, this infinitesimally small fraction of Jewish people are the priests of the Jewish people, 1 in a million, so too, the entire Jewish people is meant to be like a holy priesthood for the rest of humanity. And it's the same percentage. It's the same tiny fraction. And what you see is, and this is I think the overall perspective on all of these cases, which is that for us, the idea of sanctifying something can be accomplished with just a tiny portion of it being holy. That means that the entire Jewish people are elevated and sanctified by the fact that we have 3 Kohanim representing us who will be extra holy. That sanctifies all of us. We're raised up by that. If we have 3 Kohanim that are acting as holy priests, extra holy, that elevates all of us, and we are elevated by that. We're made holy by their presence. And likewise, when the Jewish people are acting like our holy selves, when we're doing what we're supposed to be doing, we're acting like a holy priesthood, then all of humanity is elevated by that. We don't need the entire world to be Jews, but we need the Jews to be holy. And that, in turn, will elevate the whole of humanity. Just like this parsha is specifically to say that if these 3 Jews will act as a little bit more stringent, a little bit more elevated, a little more sanctified, that will be an elevation and sanctification for the entire Jewish people. Yeah, that is really the principle of them. And that's the concept. It doesn't have to be a huge percentage. And to tell you honestly, we have lots and lots and lots of mitzvahs, of commandments, where we see this thing happening over and over again. What do we see happening? You've got a whole dough, for example, and your dough is required to be sanctified by taking off a pinch, and we call that challah. We separate the challah off from the rest. We separate it. Literally, the mitzvah is to separate a little tiny bit off of the rest of the dough. That part is elevated. It's called truma, which means elevated. You have to give it to a Kohen because he's the right person to eat that. And then the rest of the dough is sanctified and edible to the rest of us. Not until we do that mitzvah. Or, for example, your whole harvest. You're a farmer in the land of Israel, and you harvest your entire crop, and you put it in the storage unit, and you see what you got. And then, before you start eating, you have to separate off a little bit. You have to take a tiny percentage, small percentage, tiny percentage, 1%, 2%. Take it off and elevate it, separate it from the rest, elevate it, and give it to a Kohen, because again, always related to this idea of the kahuna. And then all the rest of your crop is thereby elevated and sanctified. And you can eat it. Yeah, totally. So this is and there are many more examples. I'm just giving you a few, but the idea of this is, and this is perhaps one of the most important, significant ideas in Parshas Emor, that if we can just find a little place of holiness in our lives, a little place, one little thing, all of our lives, then our entire existence is elevated by it. A little place. If you have 1 minute, just maybe 30 minutes at 5 p.m., that's a good place to start, a holy 30 minutes. And then your whole day is elevated by that, your whole week, your whole year. If we can make 1 day a week holy, the concept of a Sabbath, your whole week is elevated by that, 1/7. Take a little bit of time, make it special, extra holy. Make it, you be extra careful and add extra sanctity to it. Then your whole week is grown. You have certain holidays, and then the whole year is uplifted. That's really the secret. It's not the goal is not that you're gonna make every day Yom Kippur. Can you imagine if I said, okay, I want you to have a holy year, so every day is going to be Yom Kippur? That's not going to be possible, right? That's going to be scary. It's not the goal. One day of Yom Kippur is enough for the whole year. And one day, and the whole year is elevated by that, by a holy one, holy of holy. Yom Kippur is the holiest of holy days. And it's all about the Kohen, and it's all about the Kohen Gadol. It's only one person on Yom Kippur, that one guy, the big kahuna, the holiest priest, the head, the chief of all the Kohanim. He goes into that one little space, the Holy of Holies. The only time it happens, it's one little moment in the year, one little place in the world, the highest levels of sanctity. Think about how many places in the world are that level of holiness, on all the continents and all the countries and the provinces and the states, all the cities, all the neighborhoods. We're talking about one little room in the entire planet. One little room, that has the ark and the tablets, and that's the highest level of sanctity of the entire planet. And if there is such a place and the ark sits there like it's supposed to, then the entire world is uplifted by that. And when that thing is gone, when the world lacks a temple and the ark is hidden and the Holy of Holies is no more, then the whole world is downgraded. Now we're in a tailspin. We're all demoted. It's like the power of, I never took statistics. I don't know I can't give you the statistics on this, but the power of that tiny percentage. This is holy stats, right? Holy stats, Batman. This is the holy little percentage, just that 1 in a million, literally 1 in a million. That's Parshas Emor teaches us the greatness of that. Now, I'm going to add one last thought to that, and then we're going to let you go. And tomorrow we're going to get ready for Lag BaOmer. But the last little piece I want to add is as follows. And this is a beautiful thought that I learned back in Jerusalem from Rabbi Noach Orlowek. And he was talking about the name of this parsha. The name of this parsha, Emor, tell, is got to be one of the weirdest names of a parsha that there is. I mean, our parshas are typically named for the first word in the parsha. The first word, that's the name of the parsha. But you know what? Sometimes we skip off the little helping words and we go to the first word of significance, of meaning, right? I mean, many parshas begin with the verse, and God said to Moses saying, and we skip right over that and we go to the first word of the next verse. And we name the parsha by the first significant, meaningful word, and we skip over the not so meaningful words. And whenever we do that, we skip over this word, Emor, Lamor, say. This is a word we skip over every time. Here for suddenly, it didn't get skipped over. It became the name of the parsha. And frankly, if you look at it in that first sentence of the parsha, this word Emor in different grammatical forms appears 3 times. Emor, Emor, Emor. It says, Vaydaber Shem Moshe, Lamor, Emor alakani b'nei Aaron ve'amarta aleim. Lamor, Emor, amarta. Same word 3 times. Tell. Rashi on the spot comments and he says, this is something that God said, tell him 3 times, because it really needs to be a message that's pounded home. Why is this message need to be pounded home? Explain Rabbi Orlowek to me and everyone who was listening that day. Because what's being asked here of these 3 Jews, these 3 Kohanim, is that they should maintain a greater level of sanctity and elevation than anybody around them. All the Jewish people are holy, but you've got to be extra holy. And that's tough, Standing out from the crowd is tough. It's a tough thing. How can we really expect to stand out from the crowd? Can't we just be like everybody else? Can we, run with the crowd, let's go with the tide. Just be like everybody else, right? No. This is an obligation that these 3 Jews, the priests, have to be different, separate, and extra holy. And they have to work hard on that, and you have to drive that point home. Emor, Emor, Emor. Tell them. And you know what? That's the same thing that's true for us. Because we're one tiny nation amongst the greater populace of humanity. And everybody else is doing things, and many good things. Can't we just go with the tide? Can't we just do the thing, do like everybody else? No. The Jewish people are required to be extra careful, to be a little more elevated, a little more particular. Just like Hebrew National, we answer to a higher authority. We've got to do a little bit better. And that's hard. So we've got to that message has to be driven home to us. Tell them 3 times. And you know what? If we do that, if we succeed and we can maintain that higher standard, the entire world is elevated by our doing that. And even if we're only 1 in a million, don't forget, you're 1 in a million. Have a wonderful rest of your day, folks. Have a healthy and a holy, and we will see you, God willing, tomorrow on Live at 5.